السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستنصره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهديه الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات ربي وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وأنصاره وأزواجه ومن استنى بسنته واقتفى أثره إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وإن شر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. All praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most gracious, the most merciful, praise Him, seek His help and forgiveness and ease and blessing upon His fellow messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, inshallah, we'll continue our journey with the hadith of tazkiyah, the hadith of the hearts, and the purification of the hearts and the soul. Inshallah, we'll continue our journey with the book of the 40 hadith of the hearts, al-arba'un al-qalbiyah. But before I start tonight, while I'm writing some du'as on the board, I would like to take this opportunity to just reflect a little bit on the previous episode of this series. So if you don't mind, just have a quick chat with the one next to you about maybe one hadith that you learned in the past few lessons and actually resonate with you, and just write down. It doesn't have to be the full hadith, or something that you learn in this class that resonate with you, and write maybe a few lines as a reflection for that and why this hadith is so important to you. So if you want to have a chat with the one next to you, and then after that you can write your own reflection. In the meantime, I'll just write some important hadith today, inshallah, on the board, so everyone can copy it later. You're very quiet.
Let's read the remaining parts.
It took forever to finish this writing, sorry, I'm a slow writer. So, how did it go? Who want to start first?
Okay, I'll start first. About the morsel of flesh, which is the heart, if it's good, then the whole body is good, and vice versa. If it's bad, the whole body is bad. I also remember one of the stories where there's this scholar who was giving a reminder, and then someone came to him. I think when Shaitan came to him and said, your shop house has been burned, or your house was burned down. He paused for a while and he said Alhamdulillah. And I think the same person came back and said that actually it was a wrong news, that everybody else was burned down except for yours, and he still paused and said Alhamdulillah. So it's the heart. So I was sharing with Tamir, like, if he told me that, oh, I just got a new Lamborghini, so I want to test my heart, whether I should have that Lamborghini and not him, or I should say Alhamdulillah. Yeah, that's it.
Shaitan tests us and tried, trick us many times, especially at the time of trials. This is the weak spots that we have in our life, so he can come and attack us. Yeah. Great lesson to be learned from this story. Yes.
I got nothing much. I just remember about the every small deeds you do is an act of kindness. If you don't have money, you can do your effort to the act of kindness.
Yep.
So if you don't have time, but you got finance, you can donate some sedekah as well. So any small bit of effort is an act of kindness.
In terms of helping the Muslim community,
Inshallah,
we're going to talk about this to us, inshallah. That's good. Even the Prophet ﷺ, he said, don't belittle any act of kindness, and even meeting your brother with a smiley face. This is an act of kindness. And in another hadith he said, smile is an act of charity as well. So do not belittle being positive and trying to help people around you, even just with a smile. That could be a great help for some people. You don't know, some people could have a really bad day, and when you just come and greet them with that smile, you could change the day. Okay, sister at the back, you want to share anything with us?
I think mine is that the greatest jihad is to battle your own soul, to fight the evil
Jihad
within
nafs,
yourself.
yeah, struggle against yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, there is one part of the same hadith which says ألا وإن لكل ملك حمى ألا وإن حمى الله محارمه,
No.
where the Prophet ﷺ speaks about that every king has a sanctuary, and Allah's sanctuary is what He made haram.
Yeah.
And this part of the hadith actually affected me a lot, that even a small thing that someone would think it's a small thing, it's actually still transgressing to the king of the king's sanctuary.
Yes,
So
exactly.
it's big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So following that verse of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you need to stay away from the grey area, which is the doubtful matters. So otherwise you will fall into the boundaries of Allah. You cross over the boundaries of Allah and you commit haram. That was a great hadith. And Imam al-Nawawi and great scholars of hadith, they said this hadith is one of 5 or 4 hadith that the whole religion was based on. So alhamdulillah. On the board I just wrote this hadith, a great hadith, a dua of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a hadith I would say in Arabic. عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما قال كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يدعو رب أعني ولا تعن علي وانصرني ولا تنصر علي وامكر لي ولا تمكر علي واهدني ويسر هداي إلي وانصرني على من بغى علي اللهم اجعلني لك شاكرا لك ذاكرا لك راهبا لك مطواعا إليك مخبتا أو منيبا رب تقبل توبتي واغسل حوبتي وأجب دعوتي وثبت حجتي واهد قلبي وسدد لساني واسلل سخيمة قلبي. Great dua by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam making the dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help him. Rabbi a'inni wa la tu'in alayya, that Allah, oh Allah, help me and do not help my enemies or those who are going against me. Oh Allah, make me victorious and don't make my enemy victorious on me or over me. Oh Allah, allow me or facilitate for me, make things easy for me, and do not allow things easy for my enemies. Oh Allah, guide me and make easy for my guidance. Oh Allah, make me victorious upon those who transgress against me. Oh Allah, make me among those who are grateful and thankful to you, those who are always remember you, those who fear you, those who obey you, those who submit to you and come to you. Oh Allah, accept my tawbah, my repentance. Oh Allah, cleanse my sins. Oh Allah, accept my dua. Oh Allah, make my words as a proof. Oh Allah, guide my heart. Oh Allah, guide my tongue. Oh Allah, purify my heart. Great dua by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this shows how much the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was always caring about the state of his heart. Always making dua to that Allah purify his heart, to clean his heart. And this is the heart of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His heart was already clean, but he used to make this dua to teach us, the benefit of this dua. There's so many similar to this dua of correcting and purifying the heart. There's another hadith of Ibn Abbas رضي الله عنهما أنه صلى في الليل ودعا وكان يقول في دعائه اللهم اجعل في قلبي نورا وفي بصري نورا وفي سمعي نورا وعن يميني نورا وعن يساري نورا وفوقي نورا وتحتي نورا وأمامي نورا وخلفي نورا واجعل لي نورا. That was another great dua Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say, "Oh Allah, make my heart filled with your light, divine light. My eyes or my sight filled with your light, and light in my ears, and light on my right side, and light on my left side, light above me, light underneath me, light in front of me, and light behind me. Oh Allah, make light for me." This is a dua of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And light here means guidance, compassion, love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, Aisha radiallahu anha reported that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say, وَنَقِّ قَلْبِي مِنَ الْخَطَايَا كَمَا نَقَّيْتَ الثَّوْبَ الْأَبْيَضِ مِنَ الدَّنَسِ. This is one of the dua that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say in the morning and the night time. The dua of Adhkar al-Sabahi wal-Masa. He used to say that dua. Purify my heart like you clean or purify the white cloth from any dirt or any spots. Also, Zayd ibn Arqam radiallahu anhu said that the Prophet ﷺ used to say, "Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min ilmin la yanfa' wa min qalbin la yakhsha wa min nafsin la tashba' wa min da'watin la yustajabu laha." Another great dua by Rasulullah ﷺ in terms of purification of the heart. He used to say, "Allahumma, O Allah, I seek refuge in you from any knowledge that's not beneficial, and from a heart does not fear you, من قلب لا يخشى, ومن نفس لا تشبع, and from a soul that is not content with what you have given and provided for it. And O Allah, I seek refuge from you from any dua not being accepted." A great hadith, a great dua by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to purify. He is the one, again remember, he is the one who doesn't need to make this dua because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purify his heart already. He has no sins. Allah cleansed all of his sins, the previous and there's no sins in the future. إِنَّا فَتَحْنَا لَكَ فَتْحًا مُبِينًا لِيَغْفِرَ لَكَ اللَّهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِكَ وَمَا تَأَخَّرَ. Allah has forgiven all of his sins. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also from hadith ibn Abi Ahmad ibn Humayd قال قلت يا رسول الله علمني دعاء. قال, this Sahabi came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and asked him to teach him a dua. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught him, he says, say, قل اللهم إني أعوذ بك من شر سمعي ومن شر بصري ومن شر لساني ومن شر قلبي ومن شر نية. Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from the evilness of my hearing, the evilness of my sight, the evilness from my tongue, the evilness of my heart, and the evilness of my private parts. Another Sahabi came to Salama, the mother of the believer, and asked her, "Oh, the mother of the believer, what was the most dua that the Prophet ﷺ used to say a lot when he was around you?" She said, "Ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qalbi ala din." Remember this one? This dua? "Ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qalbi ala din." قالت فقلت يا رسول الله ما أكثر دعائك يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلبي على دينك. قال يا أم سلمة إنه ليس آدمي إلا وقلبه بين إصبعين من أصابع الله فمن شاء قام ومن شاء أزاغ. فتلا معاذ ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. Look at the response of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when his wife Salama asked him, and in a way that she wanted to learn, in a respectful way, that she said, "Ya Rasulullah, this dua you say a lot. Is any reason behind it? Ya muqallib al-qulub thabbit qalbi ala dini." He said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He can twist and turn the hearts of people with His fingers. Sometimes He guides people and sometimes He misguides people. And Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu, he was around it. He recited, رَبَّنَا لَا تُزِغْ قُلُوبَنَا بَعْدَ إِذْ هَدَيْتَنَا. This is a dua from the Quran, matching the same meaning from the Sunnah. رَبَّنَا لَا تُزِغْ قُلُوبَنَا بَعْدَ إِذْ هَدَيْتَنَا. Oh Allah, do not divert our heart from your guidance. In another hadith of Abdullah radiallahu anhu قال وكان يعلمنا كلمات اللهم ألف بين قلوبنا وأصلح ذات بيننا واهدنا سبل السلام. Oh Allah, make love and compassion among us, among our hearts, and conceal or correct any conflicts among us. وأصلح ذات بيننا واهدنا سبل السلام, and guide us to the straight path. ونجنا من الظلمات إلى النور, and guide us from darkness to light. وجنبنا الفواحش, keep us away from any haram. ما ظهر منها وما بطن, whatever we can see and whatever we can't see. وبارك لنا في أسماعنا, and bless our hearing, وأبصارنا, our sight, our eyes, وقلوبنا, our hearts, وأزواجنا, our spouse, وذرياتنا, our children. وتب علينا, and forgive and pardon us. إنك أنت التواب الرحيم, you are the most compassionate and most forgiving. وجعلنا شاكرين لنعمتك, make us among those who are grateful and thankful to you. مثنين بها قابليها وأتمها علينا. Oh Allah, make us among those who are grateful and thankful to you, and those who accept your blessing, and also those you perfected your blessing upon them. So there's so many hadith in terms of purification of the heart. Those just a few examples. I would like to stop with this hadith as well, which is a lot of ulama, a lot of scholars of hadith, including Imam al-Nawawi, said that these four hadith, this one hadith is one of four that all the makarim al-akhlaq are based on. All the good manners are based on those four hadith. This hadith, wallahi, if we try our best to implement this hadith in our life, we'll be very happy people. The Prophet ﷺ says in the hadith narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, قال من حسن إسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعنيه. رواه الترمذي. On the authority of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said, the Prophet ﷺ said, part of the perfection of someone's Islam is his leaving alone that which does not concern him. So when you leave things that does not concern you, this is for the perfection of your religion. And now when I'm talking about things that concern us, we need to understand which things are concerning us and which things that does not concern us. Imam ibn Rajab, rahimahullah, says, in his commentary on Imam al-Nawawi's hadith, mentioned that this hadith is a foundation of manners. One of the four hadiths that are considered as the foundations of manners and behaviors and etiquettes in Islam. Ibn Rajab also quoted Imam ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani, one of the Maliki Imams, as saying that the following four hadith said the main concept of good manners and good behavior. The hadith I just mentioned before, من حسن إسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعنيه. Part of the perfection of one's Islam is him leaving, or his leaving alone which does not concern him. The other hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, this hadith also in Bukhari, Sahih hadith, let him who believe in Allah and the last day either speak good or keep silent. من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل خيرا أو ليصمت. So the first one, as I mentioned, من حسن إسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعنيه. The second one, من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل خيرا أو ليصمت. The third hadith is the hadith.
Can you repeat the second hadith?
Okay. The first one, من حسن إسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعنيه. The second one, من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل خيرا أو ليصمت. Whoever believes in Allah and the last day, let him say something beneficial or remain silent. Remember when we, at the beginning of this series, we spoke about the diseases of the heart and how can we control and purify our hearts. And one of the major reasons for affliction of the hearts of these diseases is our tongues. Remember? We spoke about the advice of Rasulullah ﷺ and his wisdom and some of the hadith that a lot of people could say things that they will regret later. You know, and the Mu'adh ibn Jabal, when he came to the Prophet ﷺ and asked him, أَوَنَحْنُ مُؤَاخَذُونَ بِمَا نَقُولُ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ, are we accountable? Are we really upset with him? and he corrected him and said, you know, of course, ثكلتك أمك يا معاذ أو لا يكب الناس في النار على وجوههم, and in another narration he said مناخرهم إلا من حصائد ألسنتهم. Of course, people will go to the hellfire because of the harvest of their tongue. So in this hadith, teach us good manners, which is a foundation of good manners, is Allah, the Prophet ﷺ teach us that if you have something good, beneficial, then say it, and if you don't, if you don't have anything to say, then it is beneficial, it is better for you to remain quiet. Okay, so this is the second hadith. The third hadith, as a foundation of the good manners and good etiquettes in Islam, is, we mentioned that before, when a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and asked him for advice, the Prophet ﷺ, what did the Prophet ﷺ advise him, if you remember? What did he say? لا تغضب. He asked him for advice and the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تغضب, don't get angry. A simple advice, it might seem simple, but got a lot of wisdom behind it. Don't get angry, how can you control your anger? You know? There's other narration, other hadith also to come with the same meaning, where the Prophet ﷺ says, ليس الشديد بالسرعة أو ليس القوي بالسرعة وإنما القوي من يملك نفسه عند الغضب أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. The strongest one, not the one who can handle or manly handle people or put them down, but the strongest one is the one who can control his anger. So this is in the same meaning. So this is the third hadith in terms of the foundation of good manners, as Imam al-Nawawi mentioned, and Imam ibn Rajab rahimahullah also mentioned that. And the last one, out of the four hadith, another great hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, also in al-Bukhari, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. None of you truly believes until he wishes for his brother what he wishes for himself. These four great hadith are considered by Imam al-Nawawi and Imam ibn Rajab are the foundation of Islamic etiquettes and manners. First one again, who remembers? First hadith. من حسن إسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعنيه. That's the first one. Second one, من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل خيرا أو ليصمت. Third one, the advice of Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم to the man who came and asked for advice. What did he say to him? لا تغضب, لا تغضب. Don't get angry, don't get angry. And the last one, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. Back again to the first one, which is من حسن إسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعنيه. Part of the perfection of someone's Islam is his leaving alone that which does not concern him. This hadith states that the believer should avoid things that are of no concern to him. They are of no benefit to his life nor to the hereafter. So that things does not concern him or benefit him in this dunya or akhirah, should put them away. So in terms of belief, action, speech, okay, in justifying this point, the Maliki jurist Imam Ibn al-Arabi, rahimahullah, there is a big difference between Ibn al-Arabi, Imam Ibn al-Arabi and Ibn Arabi. Alright, so if you read and don't get confused, the one with Alif al-Ta'rif, al-Arabi, this is the good one. So be careful. So when you read things, don't get them mixed up. Because the other one is hululi, yani Allah keep us away from his shirk. So Imam Ibn al-Arabi is a great Maliki scholar, a jurist, said that a person is not able to take care of all the necessary matters. Why would he then get involved in the unnecessary matters that are of no real concern? And let me explain this a little bit longer. So Islam emphasizes on protecting society as a whole from any kind of harm, right? This is what our religion teaches us. You know, even simple act of walking on the street and find any harmful things, you know, on the path of people, put that on the side or move it away from the path of the people. It's an act of charity. So Islam encourages us to be positive and try to correct things, you know, that could harm strangers. People wouldn't know, we don't even know, okay? So Islam encourages us to do that. So this is something of my concern. This is something I can correct, or I can fix. All right, to help the ummah, to help the Muslim people. I remember you, brother, you mentioned something about putting some effort at the beginning. Putting some effort. If it doesn't have to be money in helping the Muslim ummah, the Muslim community, or the community in general. It could be, ideas, could be time, you sacrifice from your family time or free time to come and help with any project that benefit the Muslim community. So much of the harm inflicted on the society are due to people indulging in the unnecessary matters like meddling into the affairs of other people. This is what always start. When people start make themselves busy with other people's affairs, this is when trouble happens. When we and this is Islam came to encourage us, to stay away from spying or looking at other people. This is what the advice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Do not look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to other people. Alright? The advice of the Quran and the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that do not backbite, do not spy on others, do not hate each other. لا تباغضوا ولا تحاسدوا ولا تدابروا ولا تجسسوا. In the similar meaning of the hadith, أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. So Islam encourages us to stay away from spying on others, because this is the beginning. When we start listening to others and spying on them, this is making ourselves busy with their affairs, and then getting involved in their affairs, then start talking about them, becomes ghaiba. So from tajassus then to ghaiba, then start making our own judgment on this situation without getting a full story of what's happening. So we jump to the conclusion and start talking about those people and start getting in trouble with other people, talking badly about them, or trying to judge people, and so this is this great hadith min husn islam al-mar'i tarkuhu ma la ya'ni. It's a great hadith for all of us. If we implement the things that does not concern us, we'll stay away from it. But there's other things that concern. We need to differentiate, to be able to differentiate. We need to have the tools to differentiate what things actually concern us, what things does not concern us. Alright, so if I ask you, if I reflect this question to you, or bounce it to you, and ask you what things do you think that concern me, and what things that does not concern me. If you can list it down, or have a chat with the one next to you, and then maybe you can talk about it, just before I give you the answer. Have a chat.
Having the right people, or the knowledge to, let's say there's a death, we need to have the right people to know what to do. So if there is someone who wants to learn, then we should be concerned. If there's no one in the community who knows how to, for example, clean the janaza, then it will be a concern to us, right?
Yep.
Certainly, that relates to
The community.
that benefit us. We should share it. Yeah.
What car you drive should
Yes,
be concerned.
I was going to say that. Exactly. My Lamborghini should be.
Yeah, your Lamborghini, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, should be big.
That's right.
Yeah, my idea about this is as in a generalizing it as in what would get me closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is something that I should be concerned with, and what is just joyful to my nafs and doesn't get me any closer to Allah is really does not concern me. Just for nafs, for joy.
Yeah.
We
I'll show with the same point that I was just mentioning is that as a general idea, in my opinion, is that I should be, what concerns me is whatever gets me closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and other things that may be joyful for me to speak about, to know about, that has nothing to relate to Allah's path, would be just wasting of time and does not concern me.
I think what concerns me is people who has our community who has less than us, who don't have like fakir or those people without mother or father,
The
those
basic
kids.
needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, orphans. Yeah.
The orphans, yeah. So we're more concerned to them rather than we compare ourselves to one who has big cars, big house. Yeah, so we should not think about that thing. So you have to think of the less fortunate people. Yeah, concern more them more.
That's
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Yeah.
So basically it's the same
Yeah.
community needs. For example, if in a community no one knows how to clean a janazah, so should concern us that we should get
Fard al-kifaya.
Yeah,
Yes,
fard al-kifaya.
absolutely right. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. So the things that the community need, and it becomes as a fard kifaya. We have to. This is our concern because we're part of this community, and we have to address those needs. Yes, at the back, sister. Anything you want to share?
No, I just, it's most of the things that I would say is more about between your relationship with Allah and your relationship with your religion, Islam.
Yeah.
But there's question about the community where you emphasize the good of community. So there is such thing as, what, for example, the climate change, the drought. Those things, is that not part of things that concern us as well? Because that's what we live in. I mean, it affects us.
It actually concerns us. You said it don't concern us.
No,
It's
I
actually
don't know, because the examples that was
Yeah,
given is
yeah.
always about between you and
absolutely
Allah
right.
and,
Yeah, absolutely
and
right.
Islam, but not
Yes.
much has been thought about
Yeah.
what affects the world, in the world that we live in. So
That's absolutely right. We actually, this is part of our concern, global warming and environment and the Amazon burning, and all of this it is part of our duty to address those issues, because they will come to our doors if we don't do anything about it. We have to put our hand together with everyone in the community, not just the Muslims, everyone in the community, to start, find a solution for these problems. Otherwise, they will come knocking on our doors, and we're all going to get in trouble. On the other side, from Islamic perspective, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala entrusted us with this land. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, when He created Adam first time, what did He say? To the angels, إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. Khalifa, someone who he has offspring that follow each other, khulafa. And we are the khulafa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on this earth. So our duty is to look after what Allah has provided for us, what Allah has given us. And it's our responsibility as well. Okay? So yes, absolutely right. It becomes, and I think, wallahu alam, it could be also fard kifaya on us as Muslims, to address the global warming issues and the Amazon burning, and we have to do something about it. So you were all right, mashallah. The answers is pretty much what I'm going to talk to you about it now, in terms of the explanation of this hadith. The Prophet ﷺ recommended this, when he mentioned this hadith, is to avoid societal problems, because when we not busy ourselves or make ourselves busy with other people's affairs, then the trouble comes, and we got our society or community is divided. There's a lot of enmity and hatred among the members of this community, which is a sad thing. And I have to admit, we face these issues, unfortunately, these days. We have those communities that don't like to mix with other communities, and those communities, they think they are better than those communities, and subhanallah, this is when the issue happens. And people start, putting their nose on other people's affair, if they can put it in this term. But putting in a hadith in a different way, part of a perfection of our faith, iman, of any believer, is to be concerned with matters that are beneficial in this life and in the hereafter. So you mentioned some of the matters that are actually beneficial in this life, and the matters, some of the matters are beneficial in the hereafter. And this is also being emphasized by another hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Tirmidhi. He said, "Be keen with what is beneficial to you, and seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do not be reckless." This is the advice of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Muslims have, enough matters of concern to the extent one may not have enough time to deal with all of them. You have to be, you have to understand the situation, and you have to value things around. This is related to the issue of time management, whereby we need to be involved with matters that are concerned to us. So we need to prioritize which are the things that are concerning to us, or relating to us, and see which one we need to address first. So an important question related to this hadith is, what are the things to be concerned to a true believer, like I asked you before. Answering this question will enable us to practice this hadith in the right manner. So one of the things that are of concern is to fulfill the obligation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the wajib. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it obligatory on us, we have to fulfill. Alright, you can name it. The 5 daily prayers, zakah, sawm, hajj. So fulfilling the obligation, that comes first, because this is our individual concerns. Every single one of us concerned. Okay? Then comes after wajib. What comes after wajib? So when we fulfill the wajib, let's, for example, in terms of prayer, salah. So we pray the 5 daily prayers. What comes after that? The sunnah prayer. The sunnah rawatib, for example, the 12 rakahs that the Prophet used to pray every day. Okay? So 2 before Fajr, 4, 2 and 2 before Dhuhr, and 2 after, 2 after Maghrib, and 2 after Isha. These are the 12 rak'ah of Sunnah Rawatib, for example, as mandub or mustahab, recommended Sunnah by the Prophet ﷺ. Supererogatory act, but if you do it, you get extra good deeds. If you don't do it, you don't get any bad deeds. But we are required because it's our concern, because the Prophet ﷺ used to do it. It's his Sunnah, so we are also required to do it. And also after that, so fulfilling the wajib, doing the mandub, the mustahab. What after that? The opposite. Staying away from haram. Yes? Avoid the forbidden haram. And to avoid as much as we can from the second level of haram. What is makruh? Okay? Those that are disliked. Alright? So those, this is just to answer one thing, one element of the question. The other element is fard al-ayn, which is an individual obligation. Are matters of concern to every one of us. Example are matters like worship and supplication. They are fard ayn. The 5 daily prayers, the fasting Ramadan, they are fard ayn on every Muslim who fulfill the conditions, for example. So he has to, or she has to fulfill these conditions, fulfill this fard ayn, because this is part of our concern. Fardu kifaya, like one of the brothers mentioned before, community-wide, collective obligation must not be neglected and should be a matter of concern to us. An example is to work for the betterment of the community, like you mentioned before, brother. Everyone with their own profession and expertise has a role to contribute to the benefit of our society. This is our method. For example, if you have a special quality, or you have area that you are very good at it, and the community needs you in this area, you need to address those issues and you need to help. All right. Other matters of concern to Muslims are enjoining good and discouraging evil, because these are the qualities of the believers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described the believers in the Quran. What did he say? كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. You were among the best of all nations. Your nation, the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is the best of all nations. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran. What are the qualities? Is to enjoin good and forbid evil. So these are our concerns. So it means when I'm home and my spouse or my children or someone I know is committing something they shouldn't be doing, it's my concern as a responsible Muslim to correct them, because they are my responsibility. Alright? To advise them in a good way, in a good manner, in a way that they can understand. Alright? So enjoining good, encouraging people to do the right thing, and discouraging people from doing haram things, this is the quality of the believers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Allah who created death and life, that He may try you. Which of you is best in deeds, and He is Almighty, the oft forgiving. Another matter of concern to all Muslims, but is currently lacking among us, is to think about the affairs of oneself, the community, and the whole Muslim community, Ummah. We need to think of how to further improve our Muslim Ummah. We need to look at the, as we mentioned before, the poor, the needy, the orphans, but we could look at the picture from other angles as well. There is communities, other communities, minorities of our Muslim brothers and sisters that are suffering right now. I was teaching few weeks ago in St. Mary's College in the city, and I had the year 11 class, the all girls, and they were learning about the theology of suffering. And they were learning, and from that perspective, they're learning about the Holocaust and what the Jewish people received at the time of Hitler. It was horrible things happened to them. So they were learning about this. And when I came in, I introduced another Holocaust that we actually face these days. So I mentioned one study case for them to learn. And I was shocked that none of them, there was around, it was 2 classes, year 11, there was around 60 students. None of them had any knowledge about what's happening in Turkestan. None of them, 0. And I was shocked, subhanAllah. So alhamdulillah, I managed to teach them about the issue. And at the end of the week, we tried not just to learn about the issue, so I asked them questions like, what is our role now in the community as Australians? How can we stop suffering for those people? We're learning about suffering. How can we stop suffering for those people? So I was amazed by the response of the students. Some of them, they made introductory videos about the issue, and they posted on an online notice board for the whole school community. So all parents, all teachers, all other students from other classes can watch this video and learn about the issue in Turkestan. Another student, she took even to a higher level, which is she wrote an email to all the news channels, blaming them why we didn't hear about this issue in your news channel. She wrote an email to channel 9, 7, 10, all the news, SBS, and she also wrote an email to the Foreign Affairs Minister asking what is our stance as Australian, what can we do to help those minorities of what they're suffering now. So alhamdulillah, had a good impact on them, and this is our duty to educate people and enjoin good and forbid evil. And if we have any chance, could just by words to change things, then don't wait. Alright, the Prophet ﷺ classified the al-amr bil-ma'ruf and nahy anil munkar in this beautiful hadith, which means that if you see something is wrong, you need to change it by hand first. And if you can't do it or can't change it by hand, you need to change it by tongue, advising. And if you can't change it by hand or tongue, then you change it by heart, which means you dismiss this action and you hate it, because you can't change it by hand, you can't change it by tongue. And then, but at least in your heart, you dismiss it, you don't like it. So the whole community concerns is our concerns. This is something, you know, we don't stay away from it. We don't say, the Prophet told us, you know, من حسن إسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعني. This is not our concern. It's not me. So I don't have to worry about it. No, this is misunderstanding of the hadith. You know, the Prophet ﷺ encourages to take care of each other, to love each other, to try to help each other. So saying, you know, من حسن إسلام المرء تركه, and use this hadith as an excuse is not right. So another matter of concern to all Muslims, but is currently lacking among us, is to think about the affairs of oneself, the community, and the Muslim community, ummah. We need to think of how to further improve our Muslim situation, and not just be content with the current situation. This applies in whatever we do, whether we are worshippers, teachers, professionals, or preachers. We should only be slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not others. Hence, we should not be enslaved by current methods or routines of doing things. We need to think creatively to improve the situation in a way not contradicting the Sharia. In this context, modern tools like idea generation and problem solving can be a great benefit. It is a challenge in our community of how can we promote ourselves to the other communities, for example. How can we pass on the knowledge of our minorities who are suffering now to other people, other communities. So maybe people can feel for them, maybe people can change. But we cannot expect change if we don't actually care about the concerns of our Muslim minorities, if we don't actually think about it, if we don't try our best to do any help in terms of financial help, in terms of any type of help that you can provide for our brothers and sisters. You can't expect other people to start moving if you don't actually do your part. So start from us first, and then spreading the word. This is also another help. So matters of concern to the Muslims cover the affairs of oneself, the community, and the whole Muslim ummah. We need to create awareness among each other in facing the issues and challenges of the ummah. For example, this can be done through dialogue and talks. Those in authority have a greater responsibility in carrying out these tasks. So we should be aware not to waste our time and effort in matters that are of no concern to us. We should focus and keep ourselves busy with the matters that are concerned to us, those concerned to those that are under our responsibility, and concerned to the Muslim ummah, because we are part of this ummah. And the Prophet ﷺ explained this in a beautiful hadith, that he mentioned that the Muslims among each other is like one whole body. The meaning of hadith. It's like one whole body. If one body feels sick, the rest of the body feel the fever and the pain, right, until that part get recovery. So this is a great example that the Prophet ﷺ given to us. That we need to feel for those who among us, those from our ummah, in terms of because they are our responsibility. This is part of our concern. The other hadith that I would like to talk to you about, inshallah, tonight, if we have time. This hadith narrated by Abi Hamza Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu, خادم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. رواه البخاري ومسلم. Abu Hamza Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu, the servant of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, none of you truly believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his religion until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. So part of the four hadith that all Islamic manners and etiquettes and behavior based on this is the second one. Okay, and this is actually relate to our hearts, relate to the hearts. You can't love anyone without, your heart is purified and full of love to this person. Correct? So before love comes, we have to clean it from any hatred, any jealousy towards this person, because you can't love and hate cannot be in the same place for the same person. Alright? And this is what the Prophet ﷺ says. It is part of your belief. You know, we know that from our aqidah, that belief increased and decreased. If you want your belief to increase, you do lots of good deeds until it reaches the level of ihsan, which is the highest level. Okay? And which, as the Prophet ﷺ explained in the hadith, أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. In hadith Jibreel, famous hadith in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. Hadith of Jibreel alayhi salam, when he came and asked the Prophet ﷺ a few questions. We all know this hadith. When he asked him about ihsan, what is ihsan? He says, أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if you see Him. This is the highest level of iman, because you have full consciousness of your Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and all of your ibadah. And ta'bud Allah ka'annaka tara. To the level that you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if He is right in front of you, and you can see Him. But you can't see Him. And He sees you. And ta'bud Allah ka'annaka tara. فَإِن لَمْ تَكُنْ تَرَى فَإِنَّهُ يَرَاكَ. Imagine if we apply this, you might see like simple words or simple rule, but Allah is not easy, it's not simple. If we apply this in our life, in dealing with other people, in dealing with ourselves, in our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our relationship with His servants, and we apply this rule, we reach the level of ihsan. And if you reach the level, khalas, you're in a good place. Right?
Yeah, sorry, brother.
Yeah.
Is it okay if we forgive or not forgive?
They always say that, but it's a lie, I think.
So
If
how
you-
is it, how
I
we
think-
can train ourselves to forgive others?
Is you need to forget. Because if you remember, the shaitan will bring it back in your memory, and you know, wallah, it's not easy. You know, I still remember things when I was a child. I can't forget them, because this situation that, you know, sometimes they're very harsh. You know, it just hit you very, very hard. That is just hard for you to forget, and it's a human nature. It is what it is, and we're not perfect. You know, we can hold things in our hearts for many years because we can't forget it. All right, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encourages us to forgive, because if we want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us, we need to forgive others, and we cannot forgive others if we still remember what they did to us. Can we? وَلْيَعْفُوا وَلْيَصْفَحُوا أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ أَن يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. Allah commands us in the Quran, let them forgive and pardon others. Don't you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you? If you want Allah to forgive you, you need to forgive others. Right? You need a high level of ihsan, I guess. You need someone who is, this life has no concern to him. Whatever happened in the past has no concern. He's focused, or she's focused on the target, akhirah. You want to reach that level, you want to be with the prophets, the salihin, the shuhada. You want to be in paradise in the highest level. Okay? And in paradise, is anyone going to have hatred towards each other? There's no hatred in paradise. No one will have any hatred towards each other. That's what the Quran and the Sunnah told us. Right? There is no tiredness, there is no enviness, there's nothing like among what we've just been talking about in the past. It's going to happen in paradise. It will be pure, like its rivers, pure. And how? Min asal musaffa. There's rivers that's full of purified honey, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Ahqaf. So back to this hadith again. لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. None of you is a true believer of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His religion unless or until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. Just think about it a little bit. Are we that person? You know, when it comes to competition, like for example, yes, I can love my brothers and my sisters for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but when they come towards my area, I start, you know, this is my area, you can't come here, you know. Work, for example, you work with your brothers or sisters, you find some enmity, you find some jealousy, and it happened. And this is the test, this is the real test. We could love each other for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because we don't cross each other's path. But when we do, what happened? Shaitan comes in between, and put this hatred and jealousy and enmity that the Prophet ﷺ encourages to get rid of it. Okay? Because it's part of Jahiliyyah. It's part of the darkness of the heart that we need to clean and purify. So in this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ made it clear, if you wanted to be a believer, then you need to get rid of any hatred first. That will lead you to love, unconditional love for your brother for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now it means that when you love someone, you care for them, you need them to be the best. You need them, like for example, if you speak about your children, every parent will say, I would love for my children to be better position than mine, right? Is it true? Because we love them unconditionally. We love them so much that we want them to be in a higher position than us. Can you do that for your brothers? Yes, sure. It's not an easy decision, it's not an easy act, but yes, I like your mashallah, courage, mashallah, brother. Sure, yes, we can do it. It's not hard, it's not impossible. But when you've done it, you're fulfilling the great hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and you reach one of the highest level of purification of your heart. The highest level of iman. And if you look into the biography of the Sahaba, Ridwanullah alayhim, how they could sacrifice everything for each other. Starting with when the Prophet ﷺ migrated from Mecca to Medina, he did this beautiful technique that he made the akhi between Ansar and Muhajirin. So everyone from Ansar take one from Muhajirin, those who migrated to those who lives in Medina, one each. They get together with the brotherhood of bond, and they help each other. So the Ansari one will help the Muhajir. And it was says in the biography books, in the books of Seerah, that some of the Muhajirin, in fact most of them, they would split everything into half. Imagine someone come to you and say, I want to stay, can you give me, like those who, for example, we could give an example for refugees, for example, coming here to Australia. Alright? Some of us could put some money together and help them out, for those who are new arrival, or go together and try to educate them about things, or take them around, show them around. Yeah, that's good help. But who of us would come and say, you can take half of my house, you can take my spare car, you can take half of my bank account, everything split into half. This is what the Ansar did too. They understood the true meaning of love and hate for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They understood this hadith, beautiful hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. They would even, in some narration, that if they were married, they have more than wife, they will divorce one for the other brother, the Muhajir, so they can marry after their iddah. Subhanallah. This is great sacrifice. Not easy. Alright? Another example, in time of battles, when they were once they're offering them water, and they preferring each other first. My brother his wound is bigger, or he's bleeding. He can drink first. And he goes to that person, and he said, "No, my brother he needed more than me. Go there, and keep passing it to each other until they all die before they drink the water, because they show the great sense of ithar, a great quality of Islam, ithar. وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. A great verse in the Quran. That the story behind this verse, as it mentioned in the book of Tafsir, that a Sahabi came from outside the Medina, and he was the guest of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam checked with his family, he had nothing at his home to offer this guest. So he asked any of the Sahaba can look after the guest of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So one of the Sahaba put his hands up and said, I will do it, Rasulullah. And this Sahabi, he knows that he doesn't have much. He knew it, but he wanted to be honored to host the guest of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Alright, he understood the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And in another hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir falyukrim ضيفه." This is the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whoever believes in Allah on the last day, let him be generous to his guest. So this Sahabi understood the meaning of this hadith and took this person, or this another Sahabi with him, home. He went to his wife and he told her, let the kids, go to bed early tonight. Ask her what we have to offer the guest. She said only, a piece of bread and some oil, rock salt. That's all what we have. And it's just barely enough for the kids. Not even me and you. He said, we give it all to the guest of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? Let the kids play until they go to sleep. They get tired. They can eat another day. And then put the light, or dim the light in the room down, so there's not much light. And he brought a pebble, a small rock in his mouth, so that the guest does not feel shy, to eat. When you offer food to your guest, you need to eat with them. Otherwise, the guest will never eat, right? So if you offer the food, you need to share the food with them so they can be encouraged to eat. So what he did, because he doesn't want to touch the food because he knew the food is not enough for both of them. So he wanted to give it all, him, his wife, and his children didn't have any of this food, and he just gave it away to this guest. And he dimmed the light so the guest does not notice or feel shy. And he put that pebble in his mouth, so he just moved it around, so the guests think that he's eating with them. And the next day, the Prophet ﷺ was very, very pleased with his act. And this verse was revealed. وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. They sacrifice for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to their brothers, even though they are in bad need. Khasasa means in bad need to what they have. How many of us can do this today? Not many. Right?
This is even higher than what is mentioned in the hadith.
This is even
higher than
this is
like
this is
same
this
like
is more
me.
than
It's
that.
even
yes, this is
instead
love.
of me.
Exactly. This is love your brother more than you love yourself.
Yeah.
More. Okay? So this hadith says, love for your brother what you love for yourself. But this is another level. Ithar is another level. Higher level. Alright? So yeah. So the Prophet ﷺ explained that the servant does not reach the reality of faith until he loves for others what he loves for himself. In Sahih Muslim, from Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever wishes to be delivered from the fire and enter the garden should die with faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the last day, and should treat the people as he wishes to be treated by them. Another great advice by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you want to die as a believer and meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a muwahhid, you need to treat people in a way that you like people to treat you in a way. So if you have this equation balanced, if you can work things out that you don't want to people look down at you or treat you badly, you need to do the same thing to them. Alright? You start with yourself. So be the role model. This is what the Prophet is telling us, to be the role model, to teach them in a practical way. I want to, I want you to respect me, I'll show respect first. In a way, I'm guiding you, I'm leading you to respect me. Right? I want you to, when you meet me with a smile. So when I meet you first, I smile. So this is, teaching by leading, by role model. This is what the Prophet ﷺ meant by this hadith. You need to show a good example first, so people can learn from you and treat you the same manner or the same way. But what happens if they don't treat you in the same way? Are you going to stop? This is a question. Many of us, what would they do? Okay, I tried.
Doesn't deserve it.
Doesn't deserve it. And start saying bad words about this person, and it can get lost or something. It doesn't work that way. You don't do this for him. you're doing this for you, because you know that when you do this, you're following the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah and will lead you to a higher place, and that's your goal. It is simple as that, right? Because if I'm doing this for him or for myself so he can treat me in another way, this is what we get in this life. You know, I'm doing it to, so my intention maybe so he can treat me in a nice way. So I treat him first in a nice way. Yes, you got it here, right. But some people wouldn't react, maybe. They will treat you badly still. Your reaction now is important. Because if you change, right, what's going to happen? You didn't do it for the sake of Allah.
Easy indication for...
This is an indication that you are a failure. I'm sorry to say that, but that was a failure. So you need to be careful. So this hadith have a similar meaning of that, you know, love for other Muslim what you love for yourself. Okay, they lay down a very significant principle of behavior of Muslim with each other. A true Islamic community is when it's built upon love and compassion for its members. Imagine we have a community full of love and compassion among the people, right? That will take us back to the beginning, back to the Muhajirin and Ansar, right? A perfect world, right?
Yeah.
You know, where is love and compassion is the basic for dealing between the member of this community. Wallahi, these are great hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ that we actually need to look and not just read and memorize the hadith, which can be easy, but the implementation of the hadith is the most important part. This is our target of this series, is to learn the hadith and try to practice it with those around us. So when a community with no barriers among the races, colors, madahib or group ranks, in implementation, this Islamic concept of brotherhood and love. All these barriers must be removed for this concept to be realized. And this is a big issue in our community. Do you agree?
Yes.
The barriers of, you know, nationalities, the barriers of race, the barriers of languages, the barriers of color, and we only tend to get along with those who speak our language or those who similar background like us or from the same country. In Islam, there is no race, there is no nationalities, no nationalism. Our focus is one ummah. And this is the teaching of Rasulullah ﷺ. He is the one who brought Bilal from Ethiopia with Suhaib al-Rumi, with Salman al-Farisi. They all get together as brothers. There's no differences. There were different colors, different races, different nationalities, if you may say, but they're all together. The only difference was taqwa. This is the only difference. Those who more taqwa, they are closer to the side of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لا فرق بين عربي ولا أعجمي إلا بالتقوى. There's no difference between Arab and non-Arab except for taqwa. That's what the Prophet said. It's simple. You have more taqwa, you are closer to Allah. Okay, it doesn't mean you're Arab, that means you have more taqwa than an Arab. So our duties, if we can implement those few hadith that we learned today, is you know, spread love and compassion among the members of this community. Remain quiet of the things that does not concern, because if we speak about it and other people have affairs that does not concern us, then hatred and enmity start growing in our community, and this is a disease in our community, and we should start with ourselves by, you know, not concerning ourselves with other people's matters, unless it's the matters of the ummah, it's the matters of, you know, responsibility as a Muslim member of this community. If you see someone is doing wrong things, it is your responsibility to enjoin good and forbid evil in a good, respectful, and kind way, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes us in the Quran. You know, when we speak about enjoining good and forbidding evil, people come to their mind, you know, hayat al-amr al-ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar, holding the sticks and, you know, calling people to go to the salah, to the masjid. This is wrong. You know, when you advise, you need to be smart. You need to be kind. You need to show love and compassion. You're doing this for because you want to implement the other hadith. You love for your brother what you love. You love to be a good believer, a good Muslim. So you love for your brother to be a good believer and good Muslim. And from that perspective, you're pushing it through. You're trying to teach people the right way. Does that make sense? Yeah. So mercy and compassion should exist in our treatment of others. This is related to a very important concept in Islam, which is al-wala. Have you heard about this term, al-wala and al-bara? A very important fundamental concept in our religion. So the relationship among the Muslim community members is based on the concept of al-wala. Simply al-wala means protection. That's what it means, protection. But it also encompasses love, care and help. These are the four aspects of al-wala normally mentioned by the scholars. These aspects are interdependent with each other, so interrelated with each other. For example, to care for others comes after loving them. Is that correct? So when you care for someone, that means you care for them, that means you love them. And that means that also you wanted to help. So therefore, in relation to this hadith, Muslims must also love and care about other Muslims. It's a must, and we have to do it if we want to improve our community. Another important issue is not to be arrogant. This comes in many forms. Many forms. We talked about arrogance before, previously. You know, there's a hadith of Rasulullah that, you know, the one with an atom weight, an atom weight of arrogance in his heart, he will never enter paradise. Okay? So it's a big problem. You know, when we feel that, you know, we are the superior race or the superior community among each other, with the superior nationality, this is big issue, and this is what make the problem is harder to solve. You need to get rid of that jahiliyyah, that ignorance, character, which is arrogance. The Prophet ﷺ says, "He who has in his heart a weight of a mustard seed of a pride shall not enter paradise." This is another narration. A person amongst his hearers said, "Verily, a person loves that his dress should be fine, and his shoes should be fine." The Prophet ﷺ remarked, "Verily, Allah is graceful, and He loves grace. Pride is disdaining the truth out of self-conceit and contempt for people." So the meaning, the rest of the hadith, a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he says, you know, Rasulullah, some of us like to wear a nice dress and nice shoes, make sure that they look nice and presentable. So the Prophet ﷺ, he agreed with me. He says, "Verily, Allah is graceful and He loves grace." Right? So this is, unless is shuhra. Libas al-shuhra in Islam is a big issue. This is haram. This is pride. You know, libas al-shuhra could also, or the dress of pride in Islam is haram as well. So people who dress to show off. So again, depends on our intention. Right? Someone dressed nicely, just look presentable to people. So when they see him, you know, they like to be around him. You know, dress nicely, smell nicely, look nicely, presentable. That's fine. The Prophet approved it. You know, some people would dress in a way that people think that they are zahid. You know, they could dress in an ugly way, or if I may put it that way. Some people, you know, they could be rich and have money, but they dress in an ugly way or unpresentable way. So people think, oh, they have zuhud. They don't care about this life. They focus on akhirah. So they have that intention. So people, they conceive people, or they, you know, make people think about them, that they, you know, they are zahid. They are people who focus on their akhirah more than dunya. That they have no time to focus on their dress. This is haram. This is libas al-shuhra. This is what the Prophet ﷺ made a haram for us to wear. Okay, and I think in one of the hadiths he said it's like on the day of judgment is going to be made out of fire for that person, if I'm not wrong. So libas al-shura cannot just be only good or more like the most expensive dress that you could buy. You know, it's like the top brands and the high quality, the most expensive. No, it can be other way around as well, with the intention. Remember this hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a great hadith we have to always keep in our mind everything we do. Because intention can ruin everything. Bad intention can ruin everything for us. Right? Actions are nothing but intentions. So if you have a good intention, your action will be accepted. If you don't have a good intention, your action will not be accepted, regardless. Right? So if someone dress, in a way like, so people think that he's, he got this money. You know that he has money, but he's dressing in a way so people, people think that he is, he has no need in this life anymore. He's focused on his akhirah, and we see this a lot among the Sufi. They dress in a way that people, trick people. Think of them that they are, they have zuhud, or they don't have no need in this life. They just focus on akhirah, and this is it becomes very tricky. But again, it's not up to us to judge them. It's just the heart. But they will receive the punishment on the day of judgment. It's not up to us.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
Can we continue next week? I have to go.
Oh yeah, sure. Inshallah, khalas, we'll finish. Alright, on this note, I was about to say on this note, you ruined it for me. That's alright, that's alright. I will just finish now. On this note, inshallah, I hope may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this class as beneficial to all of us, including myself. I learned a lot through this as well, not just you guys. اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك مولانا سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات ورافع الدرجات. اللهم ارفع مقتك وغضبك عنا. اللهم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.